software?
I don't know, because this software is for recording, like, if you have a band.
Right.
Right. And so, if you have like a setup that you like, if you got all your levels and everything the way that you like them, you would like for that to stay that way.
Yeah.
Well, this one's like, no, every time you come back, you get to do all that shit again. I don't really know what the thought process was behind that, but I don't make programs, so
Well, there you go. Well, I
guess I can't say.
I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't hold it in the cache. In like the cached memory section of it.
I guess, but it seems like consistency would be a big selling point of your. Well, I say selling point. It's a free program.
Yeah.
So
Well, there you go.
they purposefully fucking with me because it was free. You poor fuck. Hope you enjoy your random settings every time you open it up.
I was looking at your monster can there, and it's got. I thought I had heard this, but I guess one of like the Apex legend that's a video game, right? That's sort of like Fortnite.
Well, it's a battle royale. It's a lot of the same mechanics. You and several other individuals drop into the same map, and you run around, you scrounge for weapons, and then you all kill each other.
Right. I had read or maybe saw something online. I guess a bunch of people were up in arms because one of the new characters for the game is like a transvestite.
A transvestite?
Yeah.
Is that term outdated?
Is that an acceptable term now? That's probably make somebody mad.
It wasn't spoken out of hatred.
No,
it was just it's pure,
I don't know.
Ignorance.
I don't know what the terminology is.
I don't know. I mean, a trans person, I think, is the PC way to say that now. Well, I mean, the argument can be made. If they added like a cisgendered person, which is just somebody who identifies
normal
as
giblets.
Yeah, well, I mean, they identify as the sex they were born with.
So you were born with a wiener, and you identify as a wiener owner.
A wiener owner, yeah. Wiener owner. They call women birthing people.
Yeah, birthing people. That's so pretentious.
It is. It's super pretentious. It really is pretentious. I don't know if Okay, so I've been playing Halo Infinite, right? And there's not like a male-female. Well, it's not called male-female. They call it body type.
No.
For your player model or whatever. And, obviously the female body type is more, curvaceous.
Yeah.
So if they added one that was like body type and it said trans, I don't care. I'm still going to choose the dude body type, right? But I figure if I was a trans person, I'd be like, oh, that's like me. I can do that. But I don't know if the new character just like was constantly like running around shouting things about being trans, like. Then I could see that being an issue.
Right.
Like, this is fucking annoying.
Right.
This is you just added an annoying character. That's all you did. And then anytime
you
anybody...
add some narcissistic piece of shit character.
Yeah, some asshole. Yeah. Like, it just ran up to, like, the other character and it was like, fascist!
Well, I mean, wasn't there, with... What's the one that CD Projekt Red released?
You talking about Cyberpunk?
Yeah, Cyberpunk. Weren't there, like, trans characters in that game, too, I think?
Well, I mean...
I know you could, like, select your wiener size in that game.
Yeah, they really pushed that, like, that marketing. They were like, you can choose how big your wiener is.
And I remember there was, like, when the game first released, like... Apparently, like on certain consoles, like your wiener would pop out the front of your pants and be flopping around.
Yeah, it was like it would like clip through like the player model's like pants or whatever it is. Well, I mean, if you are a trans person, right, and you want to make a trans character, say you're a biological male,
right,
and you identify as female,
right,
then in the game, wouldn't you just choose a male character and then make them wear like female clothes?
Like put some tits on him?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you did. You know, that's not what every trans person did. I know we're walking on eggshells here.
Yeah, right.
we're like clumping on eggshells. But like, you know, is it really tertiary, like male, female, and trans?
Right.
Because the whole idea behind the trans thing is you're supposed to be, you know, just accept me as male if I choose to identify that way.
Well, I do find it funny because there was like I guess one of the reasons why a lot of people were upset was they were like, well, children play this game. It's like, well, maybe children shouldn't be playing a game. Number one,
yeah. Why is it
where you drop in and kill people?
Yeah. What's the argument here?
Isn't that something we should discuss first before we discuss the fact that there's a transvestite character model in the game?
I don't care if my son's killing men and women, but if he has to see a fucking trans person while he's doing it, that's an issue.
It's like. Are we really worried about the right things here?
Yeah, picking a weird hill to die on here. Well, you know, it was like Mom asked us the other day at dinner if one of our younger cousins should be playing Call of Duty. And really, you know, my answer to that is, you know,
it's up to the parent.
Well, yeah, it's obviously he's not buying the game for himself.
Right.
So, I mean, the parent has to take a look at the ESRB rating that's there.
Right.
And it shows you, you know, who it's made for and why it has that rating.
Right.
It'll literally list off the reasons.
Blood, gore, violence.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But, you know, it's like we said, too, is, you know, some games are rated M for different reasons.
Right.
Like, an M-rated game might only be rated M for, like, fantasy violence. Think like, you know, Halo or something like that.
Right. You're going to shoot an alien and blue blood's going to go over.
Yeah. And then you have a game like Leisure Suit Larry, you know, where there's tits and wieners all over the place. That's way different than Halo, you know.
Like Duke Nukem.
Yeah, like Duke. Yeah, exactly. You know, so a lot of that I would say falls onto the parents. Yeah, but that is a weird thing. Like you know, our children are playing this. It's like,
like I don't really think they should be playing that anyway.
Yeah, why isn't he playing Minecraft?
Yeah, no, like wasn't there some stuff like a while back where they had some pretty questionable things like that had kind of worked their way onto like the Roblox servers and all that kind of stuff? I remember hearing something about that.
Well, I you know I don't have a ton of experience with Roblox.
Yeah, it's like a child's game, right?
Well, I think the intention was for it to be
right.
Like a space for children, like a multiplayer thing. But the thing is, a lot of the content on there, from what I can tell, is very like user created.
That's a problem.
So yeah, I mean, you kind of open up the floodgates to all the degenerates who are going to make like a school shooter sim in Roblox, which there are those.
Oh, great.
I saw one today on Twitter where you could play as Kyle Rittenhouse and go down the street and shoot people.
Jesus.
You know, if you I think if you're going to make something that's for children, you know, you need to have a very close, tight group of, you know, pretty even keel adults creating the content for the children. You can't just like throw it out to the wolves and say what happens happens. It's rated E for everyone.
Right.
Everyone includes, you know, 40-year-old weirdos.
Well, you know, I even remember there was a game that came out, I think it was on PlayStation 2, like where you could create your own character models. And us being like...
You talking about Graffiti Kingdom?
Yeah, us being like 9 and 10 and 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, oh, we'll make a wiener.
Yeah, we're going to make a penis
that's
man.
That's the first thing that happened. Yeah. And, of course, like, we had the balls that would roll.
Yeah.
And it would shoot piss out of it. It'd shoot like yellow lightning out of it. And it'd twitch when it did it.
I remember we drew long black pubes coming off of it.
Exactly. Like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, that's what we did. But, I mean, you know, that was a single-player game.
Right.
So only the people in the room doing it were exposed to it. You know, it wasn't like a multiplayer online thing.
I think if you're going to have like a kid's game, like you really need to set up like some barriers.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like what you're going to allow in this environment, or that environment does not need to be online. It needs to be a single player, like, or local deal.
Yeah. The you know, a lot of times if you play a multiplayer game, or you play a game that has like a multiplayer side of it, more often than not, you'll get this kind of disclaimer that says, the developer, the studio, whoever's like, we can't control what you're going to be exposed to,
right?
What you go into this public space,
right?
All this over here that we made, we can guarantee what you're going to be exposed to here. But once you start, playing the game with the rest of the world,
right?
That's
that's
all them.
And I specifically remember, like with Modern Warfare 2, the first iteration of it, like there's a second iteration now, right?
Yeah, so
that's the one that just came out.
Yeah, they're rebooting. It's not a remake; it's a reboot. Okay. So it's a lot of the same characters and a lot of same story beats, but different.
So avenues. I specifically remember in the first iteration that came out, like in 2009-ish, 2008, 2009-ish, that there was a big issue because there was like that level no Russian, where like you go in and shoot all the people. In the
you play as a terrorist.
Yeah, you play as a terrorist,
down civilians,
right? And you mow down civilians with
like a
light machine gun.
Yeah,
but that was the least of the problems.
Yeah,
because the chat lobbies were really something to behold.
They were.
Some of the most heinous things I think I've ever heard in my life.
Stuff
came
that
from
would
those
just make you
lobbies.
sit there and think about like what you just heard.
Recoil.
Like, oh my God, heavens! Like I'm a 14-year-old kid, and even that stunned me. But they a lot of games are doing away with the
chat lobbies.
Well, they're
stuff.
doing away with the pre-game and post-game lobby. Like Halo Infinite's done away with that. You can do in-game chat with your teammates, but it defaults your mic is set. The default setting on your mic is off.
Yeah.
So you have to go into the settings and turn your mic on, on purpose, in order to be able to speak to other people.
Right.
So they really, the kind of social feature of it is not so much on the forefront as it used to be.
Right.
So I think they're trying to avoid those Modern Warfare 2 lobbies.
Right. But I think they're kind of missing a point there.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons why that was such a golden age?
Yeah.
Like you had Halo 3 and you had Modern Warfare 2, and like these were massive income makers, and like
huge commercial successes.
Right, and people were like, without question buying the DLCs for these games
because they wanted more of it.
Was because number one, the games were massive successes and they were really good games.
Yeah.
But secondly, because people wanted that interaction with other people online. Like I would get online and I didn't have to have friends that were online because I knew I was going to get online and I was going to laugh because I was going to hear something so absurd when I went into these lobbies.
You're going to have a good time.
You're going to have a good time.
I mean, if you go into it with the right headspace, because there was a lot of people who went in there and took it real serious.
Right.
And so when they started getting shit on by Goober Smooch 69, that was the end of the world for them. It's so back to the topic of children playing these games, it really comes down to the parents have got to curate what the children are exposed to. We said that several times, but it holds true.
Right.
If you have a first grader, he doesn't need to be in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of parents now that don't understand. They are still really unclear on how video games as a whole even work.
Right.
Like I know parents that are like 5 or 6 years older than me, somewhere around there.
Right.
And their stance on video games is like, I'd rather my kid eat dirt and fuck bugs and play video games. It's like, what?
No.
What's the issue here? Like, your kid can't play Minecraft every once in a while?
Right.
What's the problem? What are you so afraid of?
Right. Like, it would be one thing if obviously your kid has an issue where they're spending 5 or 6 hours at a time in front of a game.
Doing poorly in school.
Yeah, doing poorly in school.
Their hygiene is suffering.
Right. Then it's an issue.
And then that's a problem.
You need to address it.
And you as a parent need to correct that.
Right.
Yeah.
But if your kid just sits down for an hour, like once or twice a week, and then wants to play whatever it is that they're going to play, obviously you need to curate what what kind of media it is that your child is intaking. But it's not a big deal. I mean, I don't understand why it would be a big deal.
It's not a big deal at all.
Right.
I would say it's even easier now to make sure that your kid is doing stuff that is curated for their age group.
And I mean, I haven't owned an Xbox since the 360 came out, so I'm a few generations behind. But I would assume that there's probably multiple parental locks and that kind of stuff that is available on those platforms.
I tell you who's real big on that is Nintendo.
Yes.
With the Switch and everything. So the Switch, excuse me, the Switch has a lot of parental features built into it, hardwired into that system. And they make it very clear, when you're setting the thing up, okay, do you want to set a specific time during the day that this thing's even allowed to be played?
Right.
And you can set to get push notifications on your phone, little Timmy was on, 1 hour longer than he was supposed to be.
Right.
So, they're making it easier
for the parents to have more control over
than it used to be.
Right.
So you can't just point your finger at at Microsoft or Sony or whoever, and say you're the reason why my kid is a fucking psychopath.
Right. Exactly.
But there's a lot to be said about where the blame falls. Because, if you're creating a game with this public, social feature being the main selling point, think like an MMO, right? Like RuneScape. Think about RuneScape. So RuneScape, you could totally play that by yourself. I mean, of course, you're going to see other people walking around and things like that, but you don't have to interact with anybody.
Right.
The game never requires you to play that game in a social manner.
It requires you to have to interact with the non-playable characters in order to progress your storyline. Right.
But you can always mute them so you don't have to see the things that they're typing or whatever.
Unless you go out into the wildy.
Well, yeah, then but then they make it clear if you go out here, you're going to get ganked.
Sit.
So if you are creating a game like that, and the idea is to have it open to all ages, you as the developer, as the creator, you bear some of that accountability for what happens to the children who are playing that game.
Right. You can't be like, oh, we've made it look like the thing a child would play.
Yeah.
But there's no boundaries anywhere.
Yeah. It's all a bunch of wolves in sheep clothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think for me, as a parent, that would be the thing that would probably piss me off the most. Is you've set up this game to make it seem as if this is a child's game, but you haven't put any barriers in place to ensure that it continues to be a child's game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Modern Warfare, even in the name alone,
pretty
clearly
up front.
It's pretty up front what's going to happen here.
Right. It's sort of like the big thing that happened with the kids YouTube or whatever, where there was all those weird videos.
Yeah.
There's always something weird going on with the kids side of YouTube.
Yeah. Which is odd because you think if you were going to scrutinize anything, it would be the kids space that you created.
And also with that too, it's I know that there's a separate application or app that you can get on your phone. It's kids YouTube, and Autumn watches it sometimes, but I'm always very aware. I'm listening very hard or very intently.
Yeah, something that might stand out.
Something that might stand out, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I would assume that if those videos are probably, I don't know if they're in a different database, maybe to be pulled up on that particular app or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
flagged in some way.
Flagged in some type of servers or something like that.
Well, anytime that you upload a video on YouTube, you have to check a box that says, is this for kids or not?
But I mean, is there any... Is it automation that goes... I don't even know how you could have automation that would go through and check a video.
Well, I mean, I remember reading the stats a long time ago about the hours of video that is uploaded a day.
Right.
And it's something like 80 days worth of video is uploaded every hour or something fucking insane like that. So
Okay,
you can't have a person sit there and curate all that crap.
but how much of it is kids? Would it be? I think there should be a different checkbox. It's like, is this intended for children?
Yeah, that's what they have. Yeah.
But not, you could say like something is family friendly, but it's not necessarily intended for children. Like if you're giving news, it doesn't matter. A kid can listen to this.
Watch it,
right.
Yeah.
Is that way like, but if you're going to be like, this is intended for a child, I think YouTube should probably be manual, like somebody manually has to go and watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that would be the perfect solution. But if you
and,
consider how much of that is being uploaded all the time.
Well, I mean, you just have to accept it. You'd have to be like,
huge ask.
You could be like, it could be a month before your video gets uploaded,
right?
And you're available because everybody knows that that's where all the money's made. And YouTube is like, if you make videos that are intended for children, like
the fucking Chicky Boom thing,
right?
Had almost 1 billion
it's
views.
Like Cocomelon makes more money per year than any other. Channel on YouTube.
Fucking wild.
It's like $300 million a year they're making.
That's insanity.
Like,
have you ever watched like a Cocomelon video?
Oh God!
It is like the most. There's no thought it goes into.
No, actually, if you watch one, it'll jump to a different scene every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that they do that. Is to keep the kids engaged.
Oh.
So that's like the kid will be like, they'll be showing the kid doing something and then it flips to something else and they're doing something else.
Oh, wow.
So every 5 seconds it's grabbing their attention.
Wow.
So that's how they're able to keep the kids engaged and watching
dopamine. Ad revenue.
Right. And like that's, well, you know for a fact that all the people that are going to be selling ads, like, of course, they want to be like, they don't want their ads attached to something that might be questionable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially like the big ones like Pepsi, Coke, like all the big conglomerates. Like, they don't want to be like, oh, your video was attached to a snuff film.
They ended up on YouTube Kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry we missed that one. You know, it's I don't know what the numbers look like, because if Cocomelon is making, if they're grossing $300 million a year, what is YouTube making?
Oh yeah,
what are they grossing?
Right,
because Cocomelon is just one. Yeah. That's one channel.
That's one entity, one channel, right?
Among the billions of others,
right? It has billions of dollars.
But the crazy thing is that YouTube's money all comes from ads. You know, different companies paying to advertise their product on YouTube.
Right.
And it's really synergistic, too, when you think about it. Like, you know, especially since Google owns YouTube.
Right.
It's just this cycle of money. Just everybody's big fucking carousel merry-go-round of cash.
Oh, right. Whee!
Yeah. We found the infinite money glitch in real life.
I don't think that those guys had any idea what Google was going to be when they created that search engine.
I don't think they, think about anything like that. Think about fucking Amazon.
Yeah, he was selling books.
He was selling books out of his fucking garage.
Yeah. Now he's jacked and owns a yacht.
Yeah, he went to space last week for fun. I'm pretty sure his yacht has like a boat in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the American dream, though, right?
Right.
Like you can start from nothing.
I think it's funny.
Something.
I think it's funny that like after he got his divorce or whatever, like obviously he's got on like HRT or something like that because he's super jacked now.
Yeah. Oh, is he?
He's like super jacked.
That's funny.
And like owns a yacht.
Is it one of those like Carrot Top situations where he looks weird being jacked?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because he's still got, like, you can tell it's him, right?
Yeah.
Like the face hasn't changed or anything, but he's like in really good. He's like shredded.
Yeah, that's funny because it's like, have you ever seen that picture of Elon Musk? Where
he's like going bald.
Well, he's like sitting there at that CRT like computer screen, and he's just got like the thinnest hair in the world. It looks like he's imagining his own hair. And then he got rich, and all of a sudden he's got this full head of hair.
Yeah. I wonder how that happened.
I have no idea. Maybe he like Maybe he paid to have like a scalp implant. But Elon Musk isn't jacked.
No.
He's got like a dumpy man body.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that dude, Jeff Bezos really isn't working anymore.
Oh, no. He probably hasn't worked. And
right.
He's like,
what's the point?
Well, yeah, what does that word even mean,
Yeah.
work?
Whereas, like, with Elon, even though Elon is like I think he's the richest man in the world currently, like, not people that have to report their wealth.
Yeah.
Right. But I think for him, like, he's still very much like in his work phase. Like
he's still pretty hands-on.
He's still, he's very, well, I mean, he was recently.
Yeah, I know that he is.
Definitely hands-on right now with Twitter.
With Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is, it's kind of funny because I just started using Twitter actively this year.
Yeah.
And then they went through this huge upset here in the past couple of weeks. So that the Musk takeover has officially happened. It went in full swing.
Yeah.
Those first couple of weeks were pretty intense. Like, it's just... He just fucking came in and just started fucking with things. Like, he just started like, what does this do? Like, so like a big thing on Twitter, of course, was like, if you were a celebrity or a company or what have you, it was important for people to be able to tell that your account was the verified account. You would get a check mark next to your name. It was a very simple visual indicator that the account that you're looking at belongs to whoever it says it does. Well, Elon Musk came along. He was like, hey, if you want one of those check marks, $8. So people just started getting verified accounts. Fucking nobodies. Yeah. You can just get one.
Did you see where Sam Hyde got one? Or no, it might have been Count Dankula.
It was Count Dankula, yeah.
It was a big penis or whatever.
It was giant. His name is Giant Penis, and then in parentheses, parody. And it was stuck that way. Because after all that, it became a fucking fiasco. He like double backed on it. Yeah. Elon Musk did. He was like, okay.
And he like locked everything, right?
He was like, you can only make a parody account if you explicitly state in the name of your account that it is a parody. And then he was like, okay, now nobody can change their names. Yeah. And so he was stuck with Giant Penis parody.
Oh, God.
And one of the other things that happened was Eli Lilly, who distributes or manufactures and distributes insulin in the U.S., I think, their prices are marked up like 1,200%.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross what they're doing with that stuff. This isn't fucking, Coke. This is the drug people need to live.
Right.
Somebody made a fake Eli Lilly social media account, paid $8 to have it verified, and made a post that says, we are proud to announce that insulin is now free. And Eli Lilly's stocks fucking they lost billions of dollars. People started pulling out their fucking cash. It cost $8 to do that.
Oh, God.
It costs more to get a 10-piece McNugget meal at McDonald's than it did to cost a fucking Fortune 500 company billions of dollars. And I don't think that they've recovered from that.
Yeah.
So you can't have that kind of thing happening all the time, right? So then what he did was he said, okay, you can have your verified account that you paid for, but for people to be able to tell whether or not you paid for it or you got it by, being actually verified, is they can click on it and then see, it'll say this person is verified because they paid for it or this person is verified because they're a notable figure within public space. Okay, well, there used to be a way that we could easily tell because only the verified people would have a check mark.
Right.
So it was really weird when Elon Musk took over and just started fucking throwing shit at the wall.
Let's try this.
The crazy thing is, though, because he has a Twitter account that he's active on, he would shoot out this idea on Twitter first on the feed,
No.
and you would see it, and then you would know that within the next 3 or 4 hours it was going to be implemented. So everybody's just kind of like, oh shit, here we go. Here's another fucking half-baked idea. Here it comes.
Oh.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I know that like a whole bunch of people got unbanned. I know that
Yeah, he unbanned a lot of folks.
yeah, like Kanye West got unbanned.
Well, he's banned again.
Oh yeah,
Because of
the whole
Kanye's a whole
the whole Jew thing he's got going
a
on.
whole thing going on
Yeah.
right now. Let's bring in the podcast right quick, and then we can talk about him. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 49th episode of the Thicc Bois podcast. We're one episode away from having 50 episodes.
Hey-o.
So we keep saying we're going to get a guest, and I have no idea who that's going to be. Maybe
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure out something. But yeah, so real quick before we continue on, thank you everybody who's listened, and thank you everybody who shared the podcast and left reviews and all that good stuff.
Yes, thank you.
As you saw on Facebook, we recently hit 3,000 downloads, which is a pretty big milestone for us.
It is big.
Yeah. I don't know how or why this podcast has gotten 3,000 downloads, but it has.
But we keep going.
Here we are. But yeah, so Kanye, I think it was like 5 or 6 weeks ago, Kanye just posted, I'm going to go to sleep, but when I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 5 on the Jews.
Oh.
And then he went radio silent for about 24 hours. And everybody was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And then he ended up losing like his Adidas sponsor and a bunch of other things. And in addition to that, he got deplatformed from Twitter. Well, a little while later, the Elon Musk thing happens. And Elon Musk's whole thing is free speech. He's like, everybody has a right to free speech. So just because somebody's saying some stuff that you don't like,
Right.
doesn't mean we can just get rid of them.
Right.
You know? So he lets Kanye back on. And like within 5 days or so, Kanye goes on Alex Jones' show and he says, I like Hitler and we need to stop making fun of Nazis.
What did Alex Jones say?
Alex Jones was visibly uncomfortable.
That's hard to do.
He stumped Alex Jones. Like I remember Alex Jones being like, he was like, of course, people call me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. The Nazis were terrible people. And Kanye West or something goes, I like Nazis. and Alex Jones was like, oh. The clip is really fucking funny because it's so strange to see Alex Jones get stumbled.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to say.
By somebody else's craziness.
Right.
So Kanye went and did that. And then, there's that whole thing about he's going to run for president.
Right. Well, I know he also went on like Tim Pool's podcast and like stormed out and
yeah,
he like stole some stuff from Tim Pool's house or something.
Tim Pool kind of like pushed back on his anti-Semitism a little bit. Kanye's like hyper focused on this like anti-Jew thing.
Yeah.
And then so then Kanye posted a picture on Twitter of a design, I guess, that he came up with, who is the Star of David with a swastika on the inside. And he was like, I'm running for president. And that was like, he put that on there.
Oh.
So there was a lot to unpack. Yeah. And then Elon was like, okay, I gotta block this guy. I gotta ban this guy again.
Yeah.
So Kanye is banned again.
Right.
And it was just like, Elon came on saying, it's all about free speech. It's free speech, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And it's like, if you are going to be a bastion of free speech, right, you can't be setting precedents like that.
Right.
And you can't pick and choose, like, how far is too far.
Right.
If everybody's allowed to say whatever they want, then you have to let Kanye make these heinous things. You got to let him go and tell Alex Jones that he likes Hitler.
No.
Because if you decide, obviously, nobody's arguing the fact that Hitler was a bad guy.
Right.
Except for Kanye.
Oh, and that Mountain Dew thing that they did.
And
that
the whole
time.
Mountain Dew thing. And nobody's arguing that Nazis were terrible people. Nobody's arguing that. So, but if you ban somebody for saying that, even though you're right,
Right.
even though you are correct to do that, you're still setting a precedent that there is a limit. There's a line in the sand somewhere
Right.
where free speech ends.
Right. I think when you talk about free speech, I think if I was the one that was running the company, I'd be like, look, you can say whatever it is that you want to say, but you cannot call for outright violence against somebody.
Yeah.
I'd have to draw the line there.
Well,
I'd be like, you can't go tell your followers, be like, hey, go to so-and-so's house and murder them.
Yeah.
Because if it happens, they'd be like, well, it's not like I did it.
Yeah, I only gave them the most convenient tools to do that with.
Right.
I don't know, because part of me also is like, Twitter is a free service.
Right.
Run by a corporation.
Right.
It's not a human right. Twitter's not a human right.
Right.
Twitter is not, is not provided by the government. It's a thing that you can choose to actively take part in. But they have a terms of service. So when you create a Twitter account, you agree to a terms of service, and if you break that terms of service, then they can, suspend you.
It would be like, I think it'd be more applicable if somebody like was out, maybe like in the town square,
Right.
and they were espousing all that stuff. Like you couldn't be like, that's enough, and then take them to jail.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Yeah. You can't have like a police officer come up and shoot somebody in the back of the head for saying stuff that the government doesn't agree with.
Exactly.
Like that obviously is a violation of your First Amendment right.
Right.
So, but freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequences either. So, like, if you go like, over to O Block in Chicago and start shouting the N-word, whatever happens to you is 100%.
Expect some bad stuff to happen.
It's 100% your fault, man.
Right.
You can't just tell like, hey, whoa, free speech, man. I can say whatever I want. So I don't know if me personally, I don't know if I, if I would call being suspended or muted or blocked on Twitter, whatever you want to call it, a violation of free speech.
Right.
Unless, like, the government.
Right. If the government is like, we need to silence this person.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
If there's like a federally mandated order against me as an individual.
That's an issue.
To keep me from being able to access these things, then that would be an issue.
Right.
But if Twitter themselves are like, you very clearly broke our terms of service that you agreed to when you made your account, then you don't really have a dog in the fight.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because do you know who Matt Taibbi is? So Matt Taibbi is like an independent reporter, and apparently, I guess back during, it was like 2020, I think during like the election or something like that, he released a bunch of like internal memos and stuff like that came from the White House directly post Biden's election, and essentially that there was people inside of the White House that was telling Twitter that they need to start banning or muting some of these people. So the government was directly asking for like people to be muted on Twitter.
They're asking for like intervention on Twitter's part. See, that's a problem.
That's an issue.
That's definitely an issue.
Right.
So I have an issue with that for sure, because the government can't, I say can't, obviously they do.
They should not.
They should not be able to dictate what I do in my free time.
Right, correct.
On my phone.
Right.
As far as like, if I'm looking at like fucking child porn, that's it. That, you can't go around doing that. But if I want to get on Twitter, I should be able to go on Twitter and say whatever the hell I want, as long as I'm not breaking terms of service.
Right.
By posting like gore or whatever the hell it might be.
Right.
As long as I'm not doing that, then the government has no right to stop me from doing that.
Right. And that goes for the same, that goes both ways. Because I know for a fact that it just happens to so be that when the Democrats were in power, that they were doing that with conservative voices. But had Trump been given the ability to do the same thing, he would have been silencing liberal voices.
Well, who's to say he did?
Exactly.
In some other fashion.
Right.
Because, if now we have, the proof in the pudding that it happened,
Right.
that one presidency has done it,
Exactly.
there's no reason to believe that the others haven't.
Nor that going forward, that it's not going to be an issue as well.
It's going to keep happening.
Right.
There's been a lot of stuff in the past couple years, in the last 10 years, where they have been caught red fucking handed.
Yeah, look at the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
And Trump re-signed the Patriot Act.
Yeah. They have been caught red-handed doing this shit,
Right.
and what has changed?
Nothing.
Not a goddamn thing.
Nobody goes to prison. Nobody.
They're getting more and more bold.
Right.
They're not hiding it anymore.
No.
It was like Dave Chappelle on his Saturday Night Live skit. He was like, Donald Trump was the first one to come out and say, "We are doing everything you think we're doing in the house."
Right.
And then he went back in the house and kept doing it. And he's right, though. Think about
at least they have the decency now to just go ahead and do whatever the fuck it is they're going to do.
Is that what you're calling it, decency?
And not lie to people like certain other people that get ousted.
They're calling it piss. They're not calling it rain anymore.
Right.
They're saying this is piss. We're
Right.
pissing on you.
Right.
Yeah.
Unlike the Liver King.
Oh, Liver King. You know what? Here's we'll shift gears and talk about Liver King for a sec. Here's my problem with Liver King.
I guess first of all, for those of you who do not know who the Liver King is.
Why don't you tell people who Liver King is?
So the Liver King is he exists inside of the I guess the fitness influencer sphere in social media, YouTube, Instagram. Obviously, Instagram is a very big one for like fitness influencers and stuff because it's based on pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Of sexy people.
Exactly.
Right.
So the Liver King came out in like March of 2020. His Instagram account came out, right?
Right, yeah.
Before that, he was a private individual. He owned some companies and stuff like that, I think, but he wasn't like the face of an organization.
Yeah.
So he comes out, and then within a year, he's up to like 2 million followers, and like everybody knows who the Liver King is.
Yeah,
so
he's jacked. He's this
right.
huge dude.
He's jacked. Well, he's like 40, 43, 44 years old, so he's an older fellow.
Yeah. You can always see it in the skin.
Right.
You can always see it in the skin.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's super, super lean, and he's got a lot of muscle for his frame.
Yeah.
And
he's probably carrying 200 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, I think he's like 5'7".
Yeah.
So he probably weighs 195 to like 205 maybe, depending upon some different factors there. But like his shtick was that I got this way because I eat raw liver and a lot of meat, and he has like his ancestral tenets.
This very like natural way.
Yeah, natural way of living, right? And he like doesn't sleep on a mattress. He like sleeps on the floor,
like a gorilla.
Yeah,
he makes like a grass nest out in the forest and sleeps in it.
And so his whole thing was like he had this supplement line.
Yeah.
Right. So he was trying to promote the fact that he has all these supplements, and that's how he got to look the way that he looks. So, and I'm not going to dispute the fact that liver is rich in nutrients. It's very nutrient dense.
It's not going to make you look like that, though.
No, I think that maybe taking a liver supplement might help.
Yeah.
Like it would help with your general health and fitness or whatever. But it's not going to make you look like that.
No. There's only one thing that'll make you look like that.
Well, there's a couple of different compounds that'll make you look like that. Like there's like Winstrol and Trenbolone and like human growth hormone and that kind of stuff. But for like years, like past 2 years, like he was a really big name. Like a lot of people were talking about this dude.
Yeah. A lot of you have probably seen the guy without knowing that that's what he was called.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you Google his name, you're like, oh, that guy.
Yeah. His skin is very red.
Yeah, very red.
Yeah, it's
like
very
he takes
agitated.
He takes the caveman supplement from Alex Jones. His blood pressure is just through the fucking roof.
So he went on a bunch of podcasts and everything, and he was obviously everybody asked. They're like, "Are you on sauce?
Mm-hmm. You on some gear?
You on some gear?"
What are you
And
on?
yeah, he's like, I've never touched this stuff. I won't never touch the stuff. And so he went on this whole like,
He's like, I only take my name brand supplements.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. And so like he does this for like 2 years. Like he's claimed that he's never taken steroids.
Makes a lot of money.
Right. He makes a lot of money. Like this dude makes a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And so come to find out, like last week or maybe a week and a half ago,
yeah.
but it's pretty recently. There's a YouTube channel called More Plates, More Dates with Derek.
I think I know. Yeah.
So he's the person, and Derek is very open about his TRT usage. And like
Right.
he's like, I've been on steroids before, and then he'll break down other people's stacks. He's like, it's either a good idea or a bad idea. It's good for your health, bad for your health.
Yeah.
And he owns a company called Merrick Health, where you can get like your like panels done.
Yeah.
Like you send in the blood test, and like they'll test you like to make sure that your panels are correct. So he knows a lot about this type of stuff. And so he ends up somehow or another getting these emails from a bodybuilding coach. And then in the 2 line, it's Brian Johnson, who is the Liver King, and then in quotes, Liver King.
Yeah.
At brian.johnson@liverking.com.
Very clearly.
Yeah, very clearly. Like, obviously, this is the server that he's coming off of.
It was just missing a picture of his face.
Exactly. And so he has like 5 or 6 emails. And like in one of the emails, like he literally breaks down like what he's taking.
Wasn't it $12,000 worth of stuff?
It was $10,000 a month just on the HGH he was spending a month.
A fucking month.
Right. And one of my favorite, of course I'm reading through the comments because I'm like, I have to read the comments because everybody's going to be like killing this dude in the comments.
Yeah.
And like the top comment was like, he's not called the Liver King because he eats liver. He's called the Liver King because it's amazing that his liver hasn't quit on him yet.
That really is incredible. It's ridiculous, the amount of money he spent, but he's also using that much.
Well, I mean, his whole brand is for him to look that way.
Yeah.
Like because that's how he's selling his supplements. I would be very interested to know how much he has, like, since the inception of that Instagram account.
Yeah.
How much money, like, post that, like, what was his annual revenue for his supplement line? And then what was his annual revenue, like, post him?
Because, he's still, even though he's a fraud, he's still, you don't get that way just sitting on the couch. Like, he obviously spends a lot of time in the gym. He's that's his life.
Right.
So I imagine he was very grassroots at the beginning, like peddling his shit, like in the Planet Fitness, wherever he was working out at. He's obviously spending the time in the gym.
Yeah, you can't just be shooting steroids in your ass and then go sit on the couch and eat ice cream.
You're going to have a heart attack. That's all that's going to happen.
Then you're going to be on steroids and you're going to be a big fat fuck.
You're going to be a big angry fat guy with tiny little balls. So the problem here, of course, is that he sold his image and his product as being a natural thing. So all the people spending their money are
purchasing that with the idea that if they live this way and they take these supplements, they will look like him.
Yeah. Not knowing that he was spending $10,000 a month on human growth hormone.
Right.
And getting abdominal etching, which is where they just liposuction around your ass to make them stand out.
Yeah, I just don't. I think it would have been if he'd have came out like initially and somebody had been like, "Hey, are you on gear?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me. I'm jacked."
That's what got me was all the people who were so fucking shocked, like, "Oh my god, he's on steroids?"
Right.
I had no idea.
Right.
Look at the fucking dude.
Right.
He looks like a steroid.
Right.
What are you talking about?
He looks like a giant thumb.
Yeah, why are you surprised? What are you surprised at?
Right.
So yeah, the problem is, of course, that he lied to all these people.
Right.
If he would have came out initially and he was like, if you take all these growth hormones like I am, you can look like me.
Right. And it's not that it's not simply that he lied, because if he wasn't trying to push a supplement line and he was just like, yeah, I'm all natural, and like he's just like posting to Instagram and like he walk around jacked with his shirt off all the time, then who cares?
Yeah.
Like if he's not trying to use his physique to sell something.
Yeah.
But the issue is that he's, like, as somebody said, he's a charlatan.
Yeah.
And he's
fucking carpetbagger. Snake oil salesman.
Yeah, exactly. And he's used his physique that obviously what he has done has played a very small part in his physique. But obviously what has played a major part in his physique is all the performance-enhancing drugs that he's taking.
The $120,000 a year he spends on drugs. You know, if you take that away, he probably would look wildly different.
And you know, it's a real big issue, like in the fitness community, is like a lot of people claiming to be natural when it's very obvious that you are not natural.
Well, also the problem too is I think a lot of people, especially younger people who are very impressionable, get this skewed idea of what natural looks like.
Right.
Natural looks natural.
Right.
Like if you see a person who, you know, works out and eats healthy, they're going to be bigger and they're going to have defined muscles, but they aren't going to look like they don't have any fucking skin and just be a big muscle.
Right.
People who look like that don't look natural, therefore are probably not all natural.
Well, and especially too, like, unless you're talking about like some, like, less than 1% of people who have the genetics to walk around at like a less than like a one, what is it? Like less than like 10% body fat. Like if you're walking around like with an extremely low body fat all the time.
Yeah. Isn't that dangerous?
Yeah, it is dangerous. Depression, it's hard to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, because you're not giving your body the nutrients that it needs.
Your body needs a mix of everything.
Right, exactly.
You can't deprive it of one thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that guy is doing like 2 major workouts he's doing 14 workouts a week, like at 90 minutes per workout.
Yeah.
So regardless of how much ever like food he's taking in, like demanding that much from your body at that age.
Oh yeah, especially at that age.
At that age, being in your mid 40s, your
skeleton is gonna be the one you got.
Exactly. So I mean, the muscle breakdown. It's your body is not performing at peak proficiency anymore.
Yeah.
I think if he'd been like, look, man, it's like I'm in my mid 40s and I want to look this way, so I'm on all this stuff. Yeah. Everybody's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, who gives a fuck?
Who fucking cares what he's doing with his own body? But the fact that he's, you know, lying to every people to sell his product, that's what I take issue with. Right. It's like, you know, Noel.
That's the issue.
He's like a bodybuilder. He goes by Noel. Mm-hmm. He's very open about the stuff that he's on. Right. Have you seen him recently? Mm-mm. He looks like a fucking monster. Like he was always pretty big, but now he just looks like a walking bicep.
Right.
But you know he's very humble too. Like if you ever watch his videos, he's like, I'm not natural. He's like, you're not gonna look the way that I look by just eating steak and chicken and rice and going to the gym. He's like, I'm on, this stuff. And I feel like he tries to explain to like younger people who might be watching him that it is dangerous to do that stuff.
Right.
Especially if your body's not done developing.
Right.
If you're like 16, 17 years old and you're going into the gym and everything, you really shouldn't be on anything.
No.
You should just be in there working out.
You should be increasing your protein intake. That way you can...
natural protein.
Natural protein intake. Like, it'd be okay to do, like, a protein supplement, like a whey protein shake or whatever, like, post-workout. That way you can get that into your system to help with muscle recovery.
But you don't need to be loading yourself up with chemicals at that age.
Like, I mean, you'd probably be fine with, like, creatine and some protein, because those are naturally occurring supplements.
Creatine just makes you hold water, doesn't it?
Right. It puts water into the muscle, but it also helps the muscle... It's like I used to know how this worked. It has something to do with ATP and the way that like your mitochondria is able to produce energy. Yeah. And essentially what it does is creatine provides like a phosphate molecule.
Yeah, down to the cellular level, huh?
Right.
See, that's the thing is like there's so much science that goes behind this. It's a very intricate thing.
Right.
You're messing with your cellular structure, right?
Right.
So when you're selling people things that mess with their cellular structure
Right.
based on a lie, that's a problem.
Exactly.
Looking at you, Pfizer.
Yeah. It's been an issue because I remember being back in high school, like 2005, 2006, and I've always enjoyed working out, so I was always constantly in the gym. And I remember, like, there used to be, and I haven't seen them in such a long time, I don't know if they're still around, but there used to be a company called Muscle Tech. And Muscle Tech used to have, like, all their ads, like, there used to be, like, the magazines, like, what's the big thing, like all the bodybuilding magazines and everything like that. And, of course, like, that's how you would get to know, like, what's the new supplement that's coming out or, you know, whatever. Like, somebody be like, oh, we have a new protein powder that's coming out. It's got more protein in it. Here's the amino acid profile.
Yeah.
And, like, it's lower in carbs. It's higher in protein. And you get more grams per whatever calorie.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the big thing, too, is because a lot of these people who are, are trying to cut weight and also gain muscle mass at the same time are trying to keep a calorie deficiency.
Right.
But you want to get that protein.
Exactly.
There's no way to get just protein. There's going to be some calories attached to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, that was a big thing. And then, obviously, like, they're using people like, you know who, like, Ronnie Coleman is? Ronnie Coleman was a very famous, like, man, he was black. He's this huge black dude. And
Name doesn't sound familiar.
He was fucking jacked. Like, massive. He was like a 6-time Mr. Olympia winner.
Oh, really?
He was huge.
Wow.
And he's like, and of course, he's like flexing or whatever. And they've got like the jug of Nitro Tech protein next to him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, this is how he got so jacked.
He just snorts it.
Yeah, right.
Just melts it in a spoon.
Freebases it.
Yeah. It's dangerous. That's the problem.
Right.
The underlying issue is that it's dangerous.
Right.
Because you have impressionable people, especially young people, like I said.
Especially young men.
Especially young men who, might have the gym, getting big and swole might be all they have. That's like really the only goal that they have.
Right.
And, if they go 3 years into this thing using your fucking sugar pills and nothing's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to cause an issue. And they're probably going to turn around and say, okay, this isn't working. I need to go to the guy in the trench coat in the back alley and get some of whatever he's selling, some of the steroids he's got under his sleeve.
Right.
People who want to get jacked and cosplay as Kratos.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a cosplay one time where a dude cosplayed as Goku.
Yeah.
And he was like, he kind of, I don't know, he looked like me. And he was wearing like this, like the gi or whatever it is, that orange gi, but it was made out of like felt.
Ew.
Like just like a homemade.
Yeah, he's just like sweating in it.
Just like this homemade costume.
Yeah.
And then the camera like panned over, and there was this dude who was obviously just fucking on a ton of gear, and he had like this professionally made thing or whatever. And it was just like,
there's two different types of people.
Those two dudes are living wildly different lives.
Right.
And I hope the guy that looked like me, I hope he still enjoyed himself. Right. I hope he had a good time. And he didn't think too much about it.
He was like, he's probably getting ready to show. He's like, man, my costume's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh fuck.
Getting all guzzied up in the Renaissance Hotel bathroom.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of cosplayers, of course, we're talking about our Super Cringe Thursday post this week.
So if you haven't checked it out, stop the podcast immediately.
Yeah.
And go look at it.
It took me, I think, about 4 different tries to watch a 1.5-minute long video all the way through. That's one of the cringiest fucking things I have ever seen.
I can't do
Something about weebs, man.
I can't do the socially inept white people that want to act like they're
from an anime.
They're from an anime. I can't do it.
That is like,
it enrages me.
Yeah, if you are looking at this thing like a 7-layer dip of cringe, the weebs are like the ground beef at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's really, really bad.
It's not good.
They're so far down, they're actually more like a broken piece of tortilla chip that fell on the floor.
Right.
They're that low. And on the cringe factor.
Right.
Now, I fully understand that this particular video made it outside of its intended group. It was never meant for me to see. I was never meant to see it.
Wait.
But I did. And so did all of you. So, for anybody who didn't watch it.
Well, number one, I don't feel bad about that because they were acting like this in public.
Yeah, it was in public. You were doing it in public.
Right.
Whether you filmed it to go to a private place, that doesn't matter. You did it in public.
Right.
If it was somebody in their bedroom doing this, that'd be a whole different thing.
Right.
So for anybody who didn't see it, this video is somebody is filming it, and like a POV shot of them standing in a group of their friends.
Right.
And they're all dressed up like various anime characters, and they're at some kind of convention, I'm assuming. And it looks...
It'd have to be.
There's so many of them. There's like 20 of them standing there, and I'm assuming this is at a convention. It could very well be like in the middle of like a shopping mall.
Right.
But I'm going to go...
Showed up.
Yeah. I'm going to, give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that it's at a convention where there may be hundreds upon thousands of them. But I can't even bring myself to make the sound that she's making. She's making this sound that's supposed to be like a cat noise, and they're supposed to do their hands like cat paws. And she's walking up to all these different people, and she's doing this to them, and some of them do it back, and some of them do some kind of cringy like impression, and it's just not. It's not good. It's not a good look. She gets right up in this one dude's face, and he's got the craziest teeth. like somebody sucker punched a shark in the mouth.
The funniest thing about that whole clip was I was like, where's the person dressed up in the Naruto costume?
Where's he at?
Where is he? And then he shut up about halfway through. I was like, there he is.
He couldn't resist. You think he just like spawns in whenever there's like a group of them? Like a summoned specter.
It just makes it, God damn it, they make it so hard to want to fucking watch anime. It's...
Yeah, they do. They really do. Anytime I think about trying to get
Jesus fucking Christ.
I really want to like this, okay? I'm trying to get into this, and you're like unknowingly gatekeeping me.
Right.
Yeah, anytime I think about watching an anime, I think about those people.
Right.
Like they're watching it too.
Right. I remember there was a guy that I worked with at my last job, and he watched the Attack on Titan, right? So like we both watched it, but that's not really something like I'll go around like expressing to people.
Yeah, if somebody mentions it, you'd be like, I watched that too.
Yeah, right. So like he like had pulled something up.
You don't have like a brown jacket with the wings of freedom on the back,
right? He like pulled up something on his phone. I just happened to see.
Yeah.
Like he had been watching like on Hulu, like on his app or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'll watch that too or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, don't be going around telling people that. He's like, that stays between us.
Like, there needs to be like a speakeasy for people to go to watch anime. So that the people who watch anime don't know that we're watching anime.
Right. It's like, I can enjoy this and then go back to my normal life.
Yeah, I can go like watch You go like watch college football
like,
afterward or something.
Like what the fuck is it with people that watch anime where they get sucked into this and then they start acting all fucking weird?
I have no idea.
Is it just like that's the type of person that gets pulled into this?
Like it just attracts that type
it just
of...
attracts
like if it
that,
wasn't anime, it'd be something else.
It attracts that type of mental illness?
like a buzzing blue light on a porch. Just here they come. Man, I don't know, because there's a lot of things to like and a lot of things to be a fan of, right?
Right. Fantastic story writing on some of these.
Yeah, well, even outside of anime, other like TV shows and movies and books and things like that. Think about, well, the normie version of that would be like Harry Potter.
Right.
Like there's a lot of people who are like,
they
like base their entire personality on fucking Harry Potter.
Right.
Like there are other things.
Right.
There's other things.
So, like, you are so pretentious.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Hufflepuff.
If it were me, I would have slayed the basilisk.
Yeah. Ugh. Ugh.
Or how about the people that fucking make the onesie for their kid with like the Harry Potter lightning on it? Like, oh, waiting on my letter from Hogwarts.
That's...
Don't do that to your kid.
Yeah.
Come on. Setting them up for failure like that.
Yeah. But to get back to the video, like I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't. Number one, I understand like dressing up, and like being like, oh, it's gonna be fun. We'll go have a good time, and all this stuff. Like it's fun to dress up in a costume and go like do this stuff
with other like-minded
individuals. It's sort of like people going to a football game. Everybody wears a jersey, and you show up and you support the team that you like.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. I understand it. I get it. But why the fuck are you making cat sounds and then filming other people's like them making a fucking cat sound back at you?
A lot of them weren't into it either.
Like just this fucking guttural, like, like what is wrong with you?
I don't understand why it gets taken to such a level, right? Because like I feel like there's stages of this, like cancer,
right?
So like, they're like whatever stage 4 is, then stage 3 might be the moment you put on a costume,
right?
But like, and I think we had said it before, I think it started with Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
I think Star Trek was the first like show that had a con.
Right, and then you'd have people like show up in like their homemade like Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
And there'd be people like doing like the live long and prosper deal, and there's like somebody with like a homemade like gun like shooting it.
Yeah, doing like the William Shatner like this thing. Yeah. I think it started with Star Trek, and then some of those people also decided
then
that
those people met
they
other
liked anime.
liked people, and then they fucked, and then they made the kids.
A couple of weirdos started fucking each other.
Yeah, right.
One thing led to another.
I don't get it.
Look, I don't mean to be. I don't want to poo-poo on anybody or for liking the things that they like. But have some self-respect, I guess.
Yeah, it's not... Look, I don't have a problem with people liking things.
It's just weird. That video was weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, hands up, don't shoot. That was weird to me.
Yeah. But if you're going to go around making fucking weird sounds...
I'm going to make fun of you.
I'm going to call you out on it.
I'm going to call you out on that.
Right.
You don't need to do that.
Right. I will try to bully you into stopping.
I sent Wesley. I messaged Wesley. I sent him that video. And I said, this is our Super Cringe Thursday contender. And Wesley just messaged me back. He said, we need to bring back bullying.
The more I thought about it, the more I was like, maybe what bullying really is trying to get people to conform to the norm. Like, anybody that steps outside the normal, it's like, oh, no.
No, we're not doing that.
We're not going to do that.
Get on back over here. Man, You know, it's like I said earlier. Clearly this video made it outside of its intended audience. Right. But I have a hard time thinking about somebody watching that video and having a reaction different to the one I had.
Yeah, it just the first time I saw it, she made that sound. I went, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh, I can see that person in my mind's eye. I bet she's got a bunch of cats, too.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. I bet she's got a bunch of cats, and she hasn't changed that litter box in weeks.
It smells like ammonia.
Yeah, it smells like ammonia in her, like, one-bedroom apartment. And I bet she's got a bunch of dead plants in there, too.
Yeah, just keep buying live ones to replace the dead ones. Well, there's... People will fixate on things.
Right.
On this one thing. It could be anything. And they'll make it their whole fucking, that's all they are.
Right.
And, it's things from anime to movies, TVs, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Their sexuality, their gender. Think about people that, are like, fuck, why am I blanking on this? Fucking Bigfoot.
Right.
There are people who their entire life, their fucking existence is dedicated to finding Bigfoot.
Right.
Do you think okay, what do you think about Bigfoot? Before we go any further. I'll tell you what I think. Here's what I think.
I hope he's real.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. I want to believe.
I want to believe that Bigfoot's real.
But I know, I feel safe saying that I know he's not.
Yeah.
It's like Santa Claus. Like, I want to believe Santa Claus.
But I'm 99.99% sure there is no Bigfoot.
Yeah. Like, you would be accepting of some pretty hard evidence.
Now, I do know for a fact that there is a large chimp. It was like a 6.5 foot chimp. It was called like
Good God Almighty.
Gigantopithecus.
That sounds fucking terrifying.
Yeah, like they have pictures like in the late 20s, like they had like killed one.
Really?
Like near like a airstrip or something in like Kenya or something like that.
Flying a plane?
Yeah, and like it looks like they killed a big hairy person. It was this giant chimp.
Well, that's in Kenya.
Right.
People have cited him in like the Pacific Northwest.
Exactly. But to say that, I think what it is like people have probably seen them before.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of gets passed down. Right?
Yeah.
It's like that cryptid gets passed down.
Yeah.
And then like when you're out in the woods, you're like, oh, fuck, like there was something.
Yeah, it kind of becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
You're thinking, so you're like so focused on it in your mind, you're kind of projecting it into reality.
It's sort of like, was it those pygmies, like the real tiny people?
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's like you don't think that like that could have contributed to like gnomes?
Like leprechauns?
Yeah, like leprechauns, like these little people or whatever.
Yeah. I saw a video about this audio recording from like the 80s, I think it was. There was this group of people who would go up into the hills or the mountains of like California.
No.
Which, well, I guess California spans a pretty long...
Like Northern California is pretty mountainous.
Yeah, a lot of the biomes is very varied biomes in California. So I guess they're up in North California. Anyway, they're up in some mountains in California, and they would take this record player up there and they would record like the ambience.
Yeah.
It was like 7-8 dudes because wherever this spot was that they knew about and only they could go to,
yeah.
the big feet would come out and dance around them.
Oh, they would.
And chant and sing to them. And it sounded like rah, 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 rah. So they're playing the audio and
sounds like a bunch of fucking hippies.
Well, the guy's like he's like, right here you can hear when the Sasquatch come out of the woods and sing their song. And I'm like, it's very clearly the 8 dudes who went into the mountain alone, right? It's very clearly them.
Once again, a charlatan.
Like, who is the person that they approached? And we're like,
Right.
hey, the 8 of us were up in the woods alone by ourselves, and we recorded this audio of Bigfoot. Listen to it. And some guy was like, oh, my God. It never
I have to tell everybody.
Yeah, it was like it never even occurred to that person that maybe those 8 dudes who went up into the forest just made these noises themselves.
Like, it's like that kind of shit. You just go. I guess there's just a bunch of fucking stupid people walking around.
I guess that's what it is. They're just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Nobody just getting like you would think that the first reaction would be like, dude, that's you.
That's you. Yeah, that's you, dude.
That's you. Like, I'm not buying this.
Yeah. I can hear your rucksack.
Right.
Like banging around.
I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night.
God almighty. Think about the fucking flat earth thing.
I just don't understand. I don't understand how.
I don't understand why.
I don't understand how somebody could go through 25 plus years of life, and then somebody be like, "Oh, did you know that we filmed a bunch of Sasquatch coming out and dancing around and chanting to us? Oh, and the Earth is flat." And then be like,
fucking, oh my God. Everything I thought I knew.
This changes everything.
I don't understand why people need it to be true. Why is it so important to you that you're right about this?
I guess because they don't have anything. They don't have anything.
And it's got to be denial. It has to be
Right.
up one side and down the other. It has to be denial because there's so much evidence to the contrary.
Right.
And it's just so fucking frustrating.
Right.
I don't have the money to take you into space so you can look at the planet.
Right.
So I'm beyond you looking at the fucking thing, I have to try and explain with math, and then you're like, no, you're just using the wrong math. It's like every time I get, there's an answer given, there's an even dumber question asked.
Right. At some point, you just have to go, whatever. I can't with
But
you.
then they take that as a win. That's the problem. When you're at your wits' end and you say whatever to these people, they're like, I knew it. And there's societies and conventions, and
maybe there's just too many people.
we recently passed 8 billion.
Maybe there's just too many of us, and maybe the Wuhan lab leak. Maybe it's not the worst thing to happen.
Yeah, I think China was trying to course correct a little bit.
Like, look, there's too many fucking people around here. So
you got people thinking that Sasquatch recordings are real, that the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
They're fucking meowing at each other in the middle of the mall.
you think that like maybe they had like an anime convention in China and they're like, oh no
Never again.
No. Like some of these people are gonna have to go.
Yeah. These people are just walking around among us. They're your neighbor.
Yeah. Like
it's like the 60s.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So
it's like the Red Scare, but with like anime people. Does your neighbor watch anime? Report them to your local police.
Yeah, is that still hotly contested that it came from that lab? Okay, here's my thing. Is that how could it not?
Yeah.
How could it not?
Yeah.
I remember when people
I feel like nobody's asking.
I remember when
about
people were arguing this, and I said, but just on the off chance, what are the odds that a respiratory virus came from a research facility that was researching respiratory viruses?
Yeah.
Not only that, but they were doing like gain of function research to make them more deadly.
Yeah.
And not only that,
they did that on purpose.
Not only that, but that research facility had issues in the past.
Yeah.
With shit getting out of there.
Yeah. And where did the coronavirus originate from? The Wuhan region.
Exactly.
So it pretty clearly fucking indicates.
Right. They're like, no, it's that wet market next to the lab.
A couple blocks over, lady ate a bat and some broth. When then here we are.
And then
all of a sudden you can't leave your house.
Like I don't understand like the mental gymnastics required to be like to somebody go, here's all this information,
and you go, no. I do know that there was a chain of events that occurred where the United States said, we're going to investigate the Wuhan lab. China said, if you do that, we'll nuke you. And then the United States said, we're not going to investigate the Wuhan lab. And then nobody said anything else about it.
Right. Like I think it's pretty obvious where it came from.
Yeah.
It came from that lab.
Yes.
Like you could tell me I'm not going to believe you.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to believe you.
See, now we're doing the flat earth thing.
Exactly.
We're doing what the flat earthers are doing.
Right, but I feel like mine's pretty in your face.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen pictures of the earth from space, and I also know that if there's a particular type of virus that's being researched somewhere, and now we have this global pandemic of that particular type of virus
that came that place.
That came from that exact city, I would have to take a guess that it came from that lab.
I'd bet a lot of money, lot of money that's where that came from.
Right. I would bet all $12 in my checking account.
Plus the $5 in my savings account so I don't get fined. I just don't understand, the thing that's really frustrating to me, especially when you start talking about like these conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists, is the desperate need to be correct about it.
Right.
Or it's almost like they need everything to be a secret ploy by the subterraneans and the lizard people who have infected the government and this, that, and the other. They need it to be that way. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you need there to be nefarious intent behind every single thing.
I think it was an accident what happened. I think that they were researching how to make this virus more deadly, and it just happened to get out. Yeah. And they went, uh-oh. And then that's when...
Yeah, China, who is known to try and cover things.
And they were trying to cover it up, and then it got out. Yeah. Because people were traveling back and forth. Yeah. Because that's a major industrial market that they have there. Yeah. So then it started to spread because it's a respiratory virus, right? And then it started to spread, and people started freaking out because it's not like Ebola, where like you get it through like blood contact.
Yeah, because doctors at this point had no idea.
Right,
what
nobody
this thing
knows. It's a novel virus. Nobody's ever seen it before. Yeah. Right. So everybody, I remember like there for a while, they were like, it can live on surfaces for up to 90 days.
Yeah, there was so much.
Yeah, there was
information.
New information, like constantly, all the time. Right. And starting out, like when they first came out, they're like, don't wear masks. And then it was wear masks. And then
don't wear masks.
Then don't wear a mask, right? So
6 feet apart, 20 feet apart, 5 feet apart.
So there's all this information that's coming out. And I think that at the time, I think the government they were attempting to do the right thing. They're like, look, we know for a fact that if we have everybody quarantined in place for 14 days, like it's going to cause some issues with the economy. Yeah. But if we can
tough it out for 2 weeks.
If we can tough it out for 2 weeks, then we're okay. Yeah. And then obviously everybody's like, well, we have certain people that we can't do that with, and like you can't do that with the military, and you can't do that with
like utility workers
and all that kind of stuff, right? So then people started being like, okay, so the people that are required, or what is it they called them? Essential workers. Like, we'll have the essential workers going to work. Well, then you run into an issue with, well, what's essential? Yeah. If it puts food on the table, that's an essential job, right? Yeah. So then we run into this big issue. It's like, I think at some point during the 1.5 year lockdown that everybody was on, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? I do think that there were some people that were in positions of power that went, hold on just a second. Like, I can kind of get people to do what I want them to do. Yeah. And I think that there were some people there, especially like in government positions on both sides of the aisle, that took advantage of it. And I think,
absolutely.
I think that they were like, well, I can use this to my advantage to get what I want
Yeah.
or to make things work the way that I want them to work.
Yeah. I think it was the nail in the coffin for Donald Trump's presidency.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because if there was anybody who was ill-suited to handle that type of thing, it was old Donnie Boy.
Yes.
It would have been tough on whoever was president.
Right.
Right? Because as president, your number one job is Mr. Scapegoat, right?
Right.
Somebody that, the populace can point a finger at. But, it didn't help that he showed up to that meeting with that reporter with all these printed off 11 by 17 pieces of paper. He was like, "Our numbers look great." It didn't really help.
Well, and also I remember at the time too when they were. Everybody seems to forget they seem to think that, and they have printed a lot of money since then. But the first person that started printing all that money was Trump. Mm-hmm. Trump started, I think it was a $2 trillion stimulus package that he put through or whatever, with the first round of checks and all the other shit they put out.
What we basically did was aid our own hand to stop from starving.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't seem to understand the whole inflation thing.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't understand. It's okay, well, here's the deal. You have people that are not good at getting money.
Yeah.
Poor people.
Yeah.
They're not good at playing this game.
Yeah.
The game is get more money. Right. And then you have other people that are really good at getting money. It's so if you the poor people aren't going to then get the money at the same rate that the rich people get the money.
Right. Yeah.
The poor people will get a little bit more money.
Yeah. Very slowly.
Very slowly.
Over decades.
Right. But the rich people are going to get all that extra money really quick.
Exponentially.
Right. Because they're going to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah. And when they get more money, they can turn that more money into even more money.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they'll take and they'll get all this extra money. And it's and then you haven't created anything.
Yeah.
It's and then now the poor people that haven't been able to get this money, well, the price of things are going to increase because there's just more money.
Yeah.
It's
more money exists now.
More money exists now.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that you could do now is take money out of circulation rapidly.
Yeah.
Rapidly taking money out of circulation. And be look, as money is getting sent back to the federal government via taxes, they're $3 trillion out of circulation.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. And you're just not going to tax return this year. Nobody's going to tax return. We're taking it out of circulation.
Yeah.
It's that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
If they wanted to fight the inflation, that's what they would do. But I mean, they've been doing this shit since the first Bush, where they started doing all this war spending.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Because war is very lucrative.
Right, because war is lucrative, and so they printed all this money, and they took all this money, and they essentially just gave it to the defense contractors. Mm-hmm. As well, the defense contractors, you don't have to actively bid against other defense contractors. There's enough money to go around for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So Lockheed Martin and Boeing.
Basically a limitless budget.
Right. Yeah. There's just a limitless budget. They can print whatever they want to print. And that's just what they tell the public, right? Yeah. They don't have to, tell them all the other stuff that they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. And then they, right in your face are creating up billions of dollars and sending them to proxy wars.
Right.
That are going on other continents.
Right, and then you take all those poor people's kids, and then you send them over there and throw meat in the grinder.
Yeah. It's the perfect scheme.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do, poor person? Fight me?
Right.
I have a drone.
Right.
Here's the thing, too. When you put money into something, that's usually called an investment.
Right.
And when you make an investment, you want to see something called a return.
I want a return. Right. I'm not giving you this money
because I like you.
Right.
Yeah. So, when all this conflict in Ukraine ends, if it ever ends, we'll see what winter does.
Right.
Somebody is going to want their return.
Right.
And then we're going to have an issue.
Right, because Ukraine's not going to have anything to return.
Yeah, because they have a bombed-out, war-torn country with a destroyed infrastructure. These people over there have no power. They have no water. They have no heat. They're basically surrounded by wolves.
Which, not to mention, this country was already not a bastion of truth
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah.
They were already having issues.
I'm telling you right now. First of all, let me say that I 100% believe that Russia is the aggressor here.
Yeah.
That's very clear.
Absolutely.
Nobody is I think is gonna buck that. But and of course the Ukrainian people don't deserve what's happened to them, and there's been lots of war crimes and atrocities and this, that, the other. But I think what we're looking at is Afghanistan 2.0.
Oh yeah.
I think
Definitely.
that's exactly where we're headed.
Definitely.
This is a mujahideen all over again.
Right.
Nope.
Yep. What will happen is that, number one, you cannot win a war that is fought with guerrilla warfare tactics.
Yeah.
It does not work.
Yeah.
It's been proven not to work.
Yeah.
It's like Russia went into Afghanistan, they got driven out.
Yeah.
U.S. went into Afghanistan, they got driven out. If China went into Afghanistan, they'd get driven out.
Yeah.
Because you're not fighting an army. You're fighting
A country.
You're fighting a country.
Yeah.
You're fighting cells of people
Yeah.
that don't.
The problem is that war has rules. A lot of
Right.
people don't know this, but war has rules.
Yes.
There are things you can and cannot do in war.
Right.
And if your opponent says, fuck that, I'm fighting for my life,
Right.
they're going to say, fuck the rules.
Right. Well, it's the same thing that happened with Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's why it got drug out for so long in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the same thing that happened with the Korean War.
And the United States really lost their fucking composure in Vietnam
Right.
with like the Agent Orange and napalm and,
Right.
and all that stuff.
Right. So, and I don't understand. It's like, how many times do we have to repeat this process in order for us to go, oh, this doesn't work?
Yeah. And I call it a proxy war between the U.S. and Russia. But Russia they don't have a proxy. They're fighting.
Right.
They're in it. And Ukraine's being funded by not just us. By all the
pretty much all the Western countries. NATO.
All of NATO, yeah.
Right.
There was a couple weeks ago where 2 missiles landed in Poland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and killed like 2 civilians.
No.
And when I read that, I was like, fuck, there it is. I was like, Article,
fuck.
here it comes. Was it Article 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they just drag everybody into it now.
Right.
I was like, here it comes. I was like, at any minute, Poland could be like, hey, over here, 2 of our people died now.
Right.
Now we all get to gang up and go fuck everybody.
Right. It's like, but to think that Russia would not then look at China and China be like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah. What it ended up being was 2 like misfires from Ukrainian forces. Thank God, which is a weird thing to say, but thank God that's what it was, because that would have been the Lusitania,
right,
all over again.
Well, the issue is that people seem to think that if something like that was to happen, it would be everybody versus Russia, but Russia has set up their own like NATO, with BRICS or some. There's some type of something that they've set up.
That. Yeah, it's some kind of coalition,
right? And it's like Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, China, North Korea, India.
Really, India?
Yeah, India's in it. I think Saudi Arabia, Egypt. So like, there's enough of them that like, chances are like if that was to go down with Russia, like you're gonna have one half fighting the other half.
Yeah.
And it's not going to end well for anybody.
It's going to be another fucking world
war.
war.
It kind of amazes me, I guess, especially too coming from somebody who served in the military. There's a lot of calls for violence from people who have never experienced violence before.
Because they don't have to fight it.
Because they don't have to fight it.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to send somebody else's kids to go fight that war. And like that's really my main issue that I take with it, is that cooler heads should prevail, and we should try to seek some type of resolution without any more deaths than what we have to. Right. But simply just calling for war on Russia just because they piss you off.
Yeah.
It's like you're acting like a fucking child.
And, if World War III did break out, it would just be nukes. It'd be over in a matter of hours.
Right.
It would not be this boots on the ground.
No.
D-Day. There would be no heroes.
No.
It would just, everyone would fucking lose.
Right.
all the way down to the fucking Falkland Islands off the south coast of South America. They probably get fucking nuked too.
Right. Just for good measure.
By like Chile or whatever.
Yeah, like Argentina.
Yeah. One flies up out of Patagonia and just crashes into whose nuke was that? I don't know.
Speaking of, before we get out of here, I saw where apparently they okayed for the San Francisco PD to start killing people with robots.
Oh my fucking
Did you see
God.
that?
What does that mean?
Did you see
is
that?
Is that just like a headline?
Like, have we crossed? No. It's not like with explosives, I think is what they okayed it for.
They killed the Dallas shooter that way.
Right.
They killed him. Yeah, they sent in like they put like a claymore on the front of a bomb disposal robot and just drove it up to him.
But it's a pretty horrific.
It is. It sets a precedent.
It sets a precedent. I mean, because you could very easily be like, oh, like we have exploding drones and we're just gonna if you piss us off,
we're gonna fly one into your bedroom window.
Fly right in your bedroom window and fuck you.
And just blow you up. Right there in your bed.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody look. See what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's some fucking horrific shit.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't think it'll you for some
you don't think that'll get misused?
Yeah, why do you think that won't happen?
Right.
What makes you think in the recent years the things that you have seen people do, what makes you think that won't happen?
Right. I mean, less than 100 years ago, they'd gassed a bunch of Jews and burn them up in ovens.
Yeah, just got rid of as many as they could.
What makes you think that we're any better than those people?
Yeah. We're not...
because we have the internet? Have you been on the internet?
Yeah. Have you been on Twitter recently?
Right.
Yeah. We're not better. We're no better. It's like with artificial intelligence these days and deep fakes and things like that. We are going to see in our lifetime. I would even wager within the next 5 years. It'll happen in the next 5 years. That somebody is going to use artificial intelligence to create evidence against someone.
Oh, yeah.
That is nigh irrefutable.
Right.
It's going to happen. They're going to have a video that is 100% believable by everybody involved, and the only person who's going to know it's not true is the person it's being used against.
Right.
That's going to happen. We're going to see that.
Right. And they're going to say, essentially what they will do is that if you don't want this to happen to you, we need to be able to track you at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, go down to Walmart and get your chip.
Yep. Exactly.
Sponsored by Coke.
Exactly. Because they'll go, well, where was this video taken at what time? Let me see the timestamp on this video.
Yeah, so we can...
And the location stamp.
Yeah, so we can cross-reference your Neuralink.
Right. So we can cross-reference the chip you have in your fucking arm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's clear. He was in the Amazon warehouse bathroom. Hang him.
Hell, probably at that time they'll just take like $100 out of your checking account.
Yeah. Yeah, because there'll be no more paper money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll all be on a credit account.
Ugh, I hate this timeline.
I hate where this went. I hate where it went. Orwell was 100% right about everything. It's worse than you thought, George.
I used to think that like early colonial America might have been the worst time to be alive, but I think we're pushing the envelope here. I think I might have been born in the worst time to be alive.
The only thing we're missing is poo in the streets.
Yeah. Ugh, we're not that far away. There's people shitting in the street in San Francisco.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, fucking Skid Row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right there.
Yeah, it's here. It's knocking on the back door.
Ugh.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast today.
Well, goodbye, everybody.
I hope we lifted your spirits. You just show up to work all depressed. Well, I think that's all we got time for today. Once again, thank you everybody who's been listening. We're going to try our very best to get this episode released on time. I think we'll have one more episode, and then I'll be gone. I won't be gone next week. I'll be gone the week after.
Okay.
So there will be one missed episode, I believe. So I apologize in advance for that. But we're going up to Minnesota for Mary's graduation. She's going to walk and everything.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. And it's going to be like 11 degrees up there, which I'm kind of looking forward to. We went to Red Lobster tonight. And Mary was like, "Oh my God, I'm so cold."
No.
I was like, "Dude, we're in Red Lobster.
No.
We're going to Minnesota in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
I was like,
I've
"I've
been to Minnesota a couple times. I went one time like in February.
Yeah.
And it was like negative 40 degrees outside.
Yummy. Just fucking painful.
It just hurt.
It just hurts.
It's just pain.
The air is just made out of knives.
Right. You step outside, you're like, ah!
A human must admit to experience this. This is like where muskox live.
I've often thought is like the first people that kind of went into that territory, and cause during the summer it's really nice. Like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
It's like it's like not too hot outside. Yeah. It's like in like the 70s. Like, not bad.
Nice temperate climate.
And then like during the winter, like I would imagine a bunch of them just died.
just fucking dead. Just dropped fucking dead.
And then like there were some people that went, yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah. More. But yeah, thanks. Thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for getting us to 3,000 downloads, and we're gonna have 50 episodes soon, and so maybe big things on the horizon. Yep. Who knows?
Yep, you the real MVP.
Absolutely. If you want to get in contact with us, make sure you send us a message on Facebook or you email us at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter, so you can follow us over there. And if you want stickers, we still have some of those, so let us know if you'd like any. If we said anything that we were wrong about or if we offended you, make sure you let us know, and we will read out your correction here on the podcast in a new segment we have called I'm Sorry.
Yep, sorry about that transvestite comment at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. Let us know about that one. Let us know. I'm actually curious.
Yeah,
Was that offensive or not?
Yeah, is that the nomenclature now? I don't.
We have no idea.
I remember I was born and raised in the 90s, so.
Do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope, just thank you for the continued support. We enjoy doing this, so I'm glad that it seems to be that there's a lot of people that enjoyed listening to us. I've noticed we've picked up some new listeners in different parts of the world and different parts of the country. So
if you're a new listener, hello.
Yeah, hello. We appreciate your listening. We hope that if you are new to the podcast, we have a pretty good backlog now, so you can certainly go back and listen to some of the old episodes too.
You just listen to them get worse.
Yep, there you go. They just get worse and worse. We're not trending up.
And make sure you leave us a like, rating, review, and all that good stuff.
Yep.
So, all right, everybody, that's the podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
And the Nazis, in my view, were thugs that shook people down, did a lot of really bad things.
But they did good things, too. We're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time.
Okay.